Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal, where we invite you to explore the heart and soul of our company, Kivi Brothers Trucking. Through engaging storytelling, insightful market updates, and vibrant energy, our podcast reflects our culture, values, and achievements. Whether you're a team member or industry enthusiast, join us to build connections, foster growth, and inspire excellence. Discover why we're more than just a company. We're a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those aspiring to be part of something extraordinary. The pre-trip is complete and engines ready. We're set to hit the road on the Keep Trucking Personal podcast. Let's go.
Welcome to Keep Trucking Personal. My name is Tyler Kivi, and I'm your host. I have Derek Kivi with us, our CEO, and he's actually our first episode in year 2. So thank you for being the guest on this episode, Derek.
You're welcome. Actually, I'm the co-host, remember?
Co-host,
yeah.
It's your company, so it's whatever we want to.
Crazy to think already in year 2 of this podcast. I remember the first, when you were initially talking about it and wanted to do it and really had a passion and desire for it. And let's look into it and go further. And here we are, year number 2.
Yeah. Time flies. That's for sure. Excited for the future and to see what we have in store. But nonetheless, we were talking earlier and this spring up north, right? And where I live in Kentucky, we've had almost 80-degree days and grass is growing and we're getting ready to mow and all of the summer things that come with it. But regarding Minnesota and where our corporate terminal is in Duluth, there's a lot of things that come with spring and preparing for summer. And some of that is just with the frost laws being on in Minnesota and the shoulders of the road being soft and dirt roads being really soft. Even we talked a couple episodes back, our driveway at our terminal starts to get soft. It's just the frost is coming up out of the ground and it really makes things uneasy and sink spots in certain areas. What kind of tips do you have for drivers to prepare for this? What would you say, probably 60 days that they have to be really conscious of the roads and the shoulders?
Yeah, roughly. We've definitely had some unseasonably warm weather, which hopefully will help pull that frost out faster and get things dried out. But through this transition, I know there's lots of people that have never really driven on, it's dirt roads and typically in general, but even blacktop sometimes. When the frost is coming out, there's lots of soft spots, and what you may think you could perfectly, just nose up into or swing a little wider to make a turn, and all of a sudden you're up to your steer axle in mud. Biggest thing is one, there's many roads when you get in. It's not just in Minnesota, it's in all across your northern states that if it's a secondary road, there's many times there'll be a road posting on it. And if there's a road posting, it's for, it might say 5-ton road. Well, that means no more than 5 tons per axle. You can't, every state goes differently. I think Wisconsin has a little bit kind of just on your total gross weights, but in the end, you need to pay attention to those roads because that sign means you're not allowed on it. So whatever you do, don't go on it because they're watching those roads, because in the end, it harms the road or breaks the blacktop or makes potholes, sinkholes on dirt roads. So paying close attention when you're in cities or if you're in rural areas and going to try and take a shortcut or the GPS says turn down this road, all of a sudden it's posted. You got to mind your P's and Q's in that aspect. And if you come across something of that nature, just stop, pull over. And if you have to, you could, if it's one of our drivers, call into fleet, call, after hours, whatever, and just say, here's my situation. Here's where I am. What should I do? Don't go down the road, swinging wide, pulling into parking lots, customer facilities, anybody's facility, the grass, or in most cases, even if it's not part of the general driveway, stay away from the edges and don't swing wide because you will sink. And when you do, you're going to make ruts that we have to hire lawn carers to come back, or landscapers, I should say, fix the ruts, but 9 times out of 10, it requires a wrecker to get you back out of there. So there's many things that happen. And depending on where you are, and if it's metropolitan area, there's sprinklers systems underneath that lawn that you're going to swing into. So not only do you bulldoze through the lawn and make huge ruts, you, in many cases, rupture the sprinkler system. So there's nothing cheap about it, and if you have an issue and you're at a customer and it's like, I can't get in here and I don't feel good about this, again, call in. You don't have to make the rational decision right then and there. Take some pictures, send them in, stop the situation, because once you've run over it and you made the ruts, we get the phone call, customer's upset, and we get the cost and the burden of repairing that yard or whatever it may be. Even just edges of driveways, and you make big ruts, we have to go back and repair them in many cases, and it's unprofessional from our company standpoint to those customers, because now they just got something with their landscape just got interrupted by us making a delivery there. So in the end, I can't emphasize enough to don't just go, stop and assess the situation, see what you're coming into, because it will create damage that, even though you're like, oh, it's just dirt, so there's some ruts there. Well, those people don't care that you think it's just some simple ruts. Now they say, come fix it, because it wasn't like this before you came. And it's even, even from the heavy haul side, I had seen not too long ago where driver unloaded a machine and drove it through the grass, and it looked like it was rather new grass with some hydromat or some whatnot placed across it. That's all damage. And, running across that stuff, we got to pay attention, because anything that we deal with, whether it's truck, machine, what have you, it's going to damage it at some point. And especially with the trucks on the steer axle, a steer tire, you have a lot of weight up there on one tire.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. It's exciting when spring and summer are almost here, but have to pay attention to those shoulders. And I think that's the easiest way to sum it up, like you said, right? Like don't leave blacktop, don't leave concrete driveway.
Even dirt. Once you venture off to the edge, it's extremely soft, especially in these northern areas. And it also goes in the southern areas too. And I know sometimes, it's super tight and you can't get in. Then don't go in there. If it's a spot you don't belong, like I said, just stop and say, hey, I can't make this turn into here. What would you like me to do? And at the same time, you could notify us so we can reach out to them to come up with a situation that's not going to say you damaged my driveway or you damaged my yard.
Yeah, it's definitely it's all about relationships, right? Like we come in, deliver a $750,000 worth of freight to this end user, and they're very excited about it, but they're frustrated over their grass being tore up. It's just the little things. I think every execution is dependent on those little things. So final mile, from what I see, I don't have a lot of data to do this other than like travel knowledge, but what I see a lot is when incidents happen, it's usually on the final mile or right after you left the shipper. Mm-hmm. Like the middle in between the transit, when you're on interstates and you have windshield time, things go as planned. But when you get to that final mile, if you don't know what you're coming into, or there's a car parked in the way, or there's a snowbank right now, don't try to plow through this little, it might look like it's this or that, or curbs busting them up. So just be extra cautious. That's what we ask. I think, getting everyone prepared and watch for that helps you not have to deal with it. All time is money in all this game. You get stuck or bang something up, everybody's time gets invested into it. That does bring up another fun thing for some states might call it their state flower, but starting with the next really any time, the construction cones, those orange cones, state flowers. I know it's funny when in Ohio, obviously it's adjacent state to Kentucky, it seems like there's nothing but construction there, and it's like all you drive through is orange barrels. We're getting into that time of year. That type of preparation, again, being extra vigilant, watching for people diving in from the on-ramps, doing doing everything they're not supposed to do even while you are. Our number one goal is to make sure you're safe and you get the job done safely. So be extra vigilant, watch, make sure when you're in those construction areas, you're paying attention. We are continually getting stronger when it comes to safety. And, even talking real quick on motive, which is what we kind of use to benchmark our safety, right? And then that score eventually translates to our CSA. That's the correlation we're seeing. The safer you are, the better our CSA gets. And we can see it on the dashboard in motive, and every driver here has access to their own score. And if you've never heard of motive or you don't know what it is, it's our telematics and it's our hours of service. So it's our logbook and it's our GPS. And it has artificial intelligence that helps keep the driver safe. And when it's used properly, and it's coupled with all of the safety features of the truck, the driver benefits. And we're just still ecstatic about it. I feel like we just got the system last week, and our score as a fleet is 93 out of 100. And those parameters are pretty tight, and we're not done. And we're going to continue to keep climbing, but 93 out of 100. And the hardest challenge for all drivers is speeding. That just seems like it's we've got hands free under control. Drivers now have cell phone holders, or they've got the headsets, or they have enough ways to mitigate that holding a handheld device. Now it's speeding, which leads to close following or possibly even distracted driving. But making sure that we come into this spring and summer beefed up, ready to be the top dog in this industry, because I believe we are. And it takes all of that into consideration. And there's one more thing I wanted to talk about, correlating while we're kind of talking about the spring, being prepared in shoulders and being prepared in construction zones, and speeding even is harder in a construction zone because they drop those speed limits right out of nowhere. Or you have to be prepared when you come up to a construction zone when it zippers down into one lane, or you're in a backup in that single lane. It's not always what's in front of you too. It's behind you, people not paying attention. In the last 18 months, some of our accidents at a construction site had nothing to do with our driver other than being there. There's been people that have run in the back of them because they were not paying attention. So it's not always watching in front of you and what's going on. It's being vigilant, checking your mirrors. What can you do differently? I don't know, when someone's coming racing up on your rear end.
Put your flashers on, or
Yeah. Take extra caution. Hey, we're doing 10 miles an hour, and you can see them. There's nobody right behind you. There's a huge gap. Let's throw your flashers on. Let's do anything we can to trigger somebody's attention. So yeah, good.
That's usually my first, which is crazy. It just comes naturally. But if I come up on all of a sudden stop traffic, I immediately am looking in my rearview mirror to see if I got somebody tailing me, or you know what I mean, just to try and start warning, to pre-warn so I don't get rear-ended. Just always in defense driving.
I think some of that comes naturally too when you're used to being, I suppose, any driver, but for us in like the machinery and the flatbed side, you see traffic ahead of you. The first thing you're doing is like buffering back and forth to your mirrors, because you're trying to make sure you don't dynamite the brakes and slam your load into the back of your truck or off, whatever that is, So that's always one of those, like, you're using the brake pedal, engine brake, everything you can to slow down as fast as possible, but yet not slam those brakes to jar your load.
Yeah, I had my fear come true one time. It turned into black ice, and all of a sudden traffic was pretty much gridlocked because of accidents up ahead, and it was all black ice, and all I did was looking in the mirror, and all of a sudden there come a car, lost control, going sideways, and I was just yelled to everybody in the car, hold on, and it just grazed us. I don't know how, if it just caught traction, because I actually even quit looking and kind of got myself prepared, because the car was moving pretty good, and it just put a small, tiny little black mark in the taillight. But I mean, from when I was looking, it was like, this is going to hurt, and it actually didn't.
Like, you got lucky there, no doubt. So the safety side of all of that, which is still, it's super unique, because your safety score. So as a driver, you might look at your safety score as, hey, it's company pressure. They expect me to have this. You may not be bought into it, and you might not believe everything that we say here, and each to their own. But what we do see as a correlation is when there's a safety score that 9 times out of 10 is high, that driver's paycheck is better than the driver who has a low safety score. Now, why? I think there's a lot that goes into all the previous episodes we've even talked about, and being, doing the right thing and being just a good steward of the industry, and trying to, know that if you're safe and you help other people be safe, it builds a better trucking company, specifically here even, and all of that. But if you have a good safety score, in this case, if you're above the company average, 93 or higher, you're not only earning money, we're paying you for that because we respect that and we're acknowledging it, and we're excited to see you do that. But you're going to have larger paychecks. It just comes with the territory. You're a top tier performer, you start to become a top tier earner, and it's as simple as that. And I think that's one of the things that I love. You show me your safety score, I'll show you your pay. There's a few obsolete incidents where, somebody might have some really high grossing pay, but they're just a rogue driver, but it washes itself out. Either they, there's something that usually happens and, time will tell. And then that driver either moves on or something. There's something underlying. It always seems like with a low safety score. It just seems like
in most cases, the guys or gals with the higher safety score, I think a lot of times too, they're always the ones that are pre-planning and looking ahead and, okay, I'm going to leave and I'm going to end up over here, where the guys that are kind of running more rogue are the ones that aren't looking at that and just get in the truck and go. And then all of a sudden, oh crap, I got to park. Where do I go? It all correlates.
It starts to tell its story.
Yeah.
And, and we've had some time on this, even talking about truck cleanliness and doing this, and even your PMs and the driver credentials, like their licenses and their medical cards and all that. Like they have everything on the up and up. It's like I said, show me. It's like the old saying, show me your friends, I'll show you who you are. Show me, in this case, show me your safety score and I'll show you your pay. Or show me your safety score and I'll show you your trip planning. Like it seems to be right there, because the good thing with Motive is this isn't like takes 10 years to build up. It's a rolling 4-week score. So if you are in the slumps and you can't figure out how to pull out of it, this isn't going to take you forever to get righted and get back on track and get yourself earning more money. You just have to do it. You have to pay attention to the little details. You can't be popping up your phone. You can't be, you can't be tailgating. This isn't a drag race here where you're up. This is do it right and do it safe. And that mindset will persevere versus the guy who's running and gunning and doing everything on eggshells.
And everything you're doing out there nowadays, keep in mind it's on camera somewhere, some way, somehow, in most cases, and even if you're out on the interstate and, nobody's got no camera and you're tailgating or you're mad at everybody because of construction. A lot of these cars have dash cams now, and you would be amazed at how many times we get emails from random people, sends us an email of a dash cam footage. Look at this guy's running rogue. And so it's unfortunate, but they're out there and just keeping your cool, and if sometimes something really upsets you, maybe that's a good time to just pull off at the next rest area or the next exit and get out and take a walk around the truck, get that anger out of you, because it's not going to do you any good. In the end, it's going to bite you in the rear end, because being frustrated and angered and wanting to take revenge doesn't do good. And you're in a big truck. So guess what? You take revenge on a car when you're in a big truck and try and run them off the road or try and cut them off. When that camera footage comes out, it's going to show that you're the one that caused it. And if it goes to court, judge is going to say, just because you're in a big truck doesn't mean you can bully this person because they're in a little four-wheeler, and I think that's a lot of times what drivers do when they get frustrated, and it's not the right thing to do. Even though that car really got under your skin and ticked you off, you got to be the bigger person and just mind your, maybe you need to slow down so they get away from you. Or like I said, just stop, go take a bathroom break, walk around the truck, let it just fizzle out and start your trip again.
Yeah. Well, and the good news on that side of other cars being more situationally aware, like you said, whether they have dash cams or not, we've had some good call-ins lately. Those are fun to hear because you're not prompting them. It's like hard to get, actually, believe it or not. I feel like for how many miles and how many interactions and how many four-wheel cars that we pass all day, to get call-ins is rare, and when you get them, it's like gold. And recently, we've had a few that have been on the weekends and stuff where it's a voicemail, which is even better because then it's locked in. You have that as evidence. And we've had some incidents where I don't know why I call it an incident. We've had some rewarding voicemails and emails sent in. Your driver helping this person. Your driver is extremely professional. I saw the way your driver tied his load down, and I'm assuming some of these may be retired truck drivers because they're very, very detailed on what they are saying. But we've been getting a lot of call-ins. Your drivers are always the most professional I've ever met. Your drivers, do the right thing. We saw 2 of your drivers helping another driver. And that's stuff that we talk about. That's the principle and the foundation of this whole podcast, is knowing that it's a relationship-driven industry and getting out there and being being aware and helping someone, not knowing that you're going to get that recognition. That's what you call, doing it when no one's watching. Even though somebody saw it, you didn't know they were watching, or you didn't know they were going to look us up and call it in. And the same for customer feedback. They're aware. And that to me is like the ultimate win. You can get big awards and trophies and all that, but when you get someone that calls in and says, hey, your driver helped me, and man, that meant so much in the moment. Because as we are talking about spring and summer, don't forget, what you do to someone else might be something they do to you and help you in a good way, right? Tarping a load when it's 100 degrees out is hard. Why not go help somebody out and pull their tarps, help tighten it out? Or same for coming to you. You're out there tarping and there's a guy in his truck watching. Why couldn't you guys do it together and help each other? So a lot of opportunity to keep getting recognized. We had just closed our period 10 safe incentive. So as we're talking about being on just over a year in the podcast, we're creeping up on having our safe incentive for one full year. And it's just some of these things go by so fast, it's hard to believe. But I keep seeing drivers that are knocking it out of the park. And where I'm excited now with the safe incentive as we come into this spring and cooler temperatures, and same for when fall comes, but you have an opportunity as a driver to really maximize your MPG. When these temperatures are cool, let's remember to break those habits. If your truck's idling, make sure to just get in the habit of shutting it off when you get out. Take that 2-second thought and say, boom, I'm going to shut it off. Doesn't need to be running. I'm going to be outside, sleeping. Get your climate control in the bunk set just how you need it, so you can just make sure everything's shut off and you're comfortable, and get used to using your APU and understand how it works, or your S-bar heater, your bunk heater, making sure that it fires up as it should. And tire pressures. We're into that season now where I get excited because our metrics the cold really sucks a lot of the fun out of everything. And then even same is true for MPG and tarping and all of it. It's all harder. So now when we roll into
it's our opportunity to get the highest numbers we can.
The highest numbers we can as a company, highest numbers you can earn as a safe incentive, which is focused on safety and MPG coupled with production. Super easy to understand. The matrix is cut and dry. If any driver has any questions, ask your pod or your anyone at this company, we can answer it. If not, I will make sure to answer it for you. So exciting to see that. I know, we are very optimistic about freight this year, kind of touching on freight. Excited to see where the market starts to lift off. And, in flatbed, it's that spring and summer is where we're the busiest. That's when people are building. That's when people are putting things in the ground when it's frozen. So we have very high hopes that it continues to see some of the strength that you've seen. There seems like there's been a little bit of I don't want to say a lull, but it's just kind of softened slightly just here at the tail end of February and beginning of March, but it's still levels above last year. And we're, I think we're doing the right thing as far as keeping drivers moving and pre-planning and making sure that they're earning paychecks that are good.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like we hit a good surge there for 2-3 weeks, and then it kind of leveled off a little bit, but it didn't go back down to what it was prior. So, we're still above and things are moving, but we also, got to remember we're in March now. It's February, March. These are the times for our industry that we're in with flatbed, heavy haul. A lot of things are just, the beast is starting to wake up.
Yeah, the summer's coming and everybody's...
We're on the cusp, and it's the calm before the storm, if you will. Things are going to start to ramp up, and depending on how warm it stays up here, will definitely progress that much quicker.
Yeah.
But typically, sometime in May is when things really get going up in our area anyway.
Well, and that's where the interesting freight and loads pop up here is when this project freight starts to pop in. And it takes warm climates to have that happen. And we're right there. We're going to start to see these 20 load jobs pop up, and you're going to start to haul some really, odd looking things that you may not haul in the winter because you can't float a barge, or you can't do this on a frozen lake. So all of that's going to start moving. Excited for it. So as a driver here, if you haven't been here in a summer surge and you're excited to from our standpoint, it gets to that where we're calling, hey, can you do this project? Can you do this? And it's going to be out of your norm, out of your realm of normal freight. But that's what's fun. That's what drivers look for. They look for change of scenery, change of jobs in the moment, and try to earn a different, revenue. We have some jobs that pay you by the hour. We have some jobs that are, flat rate when they come up, and just a bunch of different opportunities. So very excited to dive into those. yeah, I just wanted to, to kind of remind everyone again, as Derek had said, the shoulders can be soft this time of year.
Even on an interstate or a major highway, as soon as you get off of that blacktop, you got to be careful on the shoulder, especially in these northern.
Once you're in Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, even Michigan as a whole, North Dakota, yeah, if you pull off the on-ramp just to take a rest break, and you know how common it is to just hop off the blacktop onto that shoulder, well, that right now is not a safe or smart thing to do, because you could park and your drives, your trailer could slip in, you can have a big rut, and
it happens faster than you realize, and you're stuck.
And then you got to get towed, and yeah,
it's like it sucks you in.
And you're sitting there in the middle of nowhere trying to get towed when you were just, pulling over to grab a sandwich or whatever. So just be extra aware of that. We got about 60 days of this, and it could be shorter if it's really hot. Be prepared for construction zones and watching your following distance when you're coming into them, and making sure you're doing the right thing to get used to those state flowers, we'll call it, those construction cones. And remember, safety is paramount, and motive score tells a lot. So help me know more about you by just your safety score. Let's see what you can do and what you can prove. It only takes 4 weeks to change a whole score. So just because you're in a situation that you might not be proud of, you can fix it, and you can fix it fast.
Not to mention the free money that they can earn just by
absolutely. It's the guys that are and gals that are peeking it out. It's amazing. Like, you're handing hundreds of dollars over every 4 weeks, and for them, they're looking at it as, hey, I'm just making sure I'm protecting my PSP, my record for the DOT, making sure everything's on the up and up. I look good, I feel good. We reward you as well for clean DOTs. So you can there's endless ways to continue earning money. You can get your tires checked and you get a free lunch. There's multiple ways to earn money outside of doing the job. And those are the things that are kind of exciting sometimes to dive into. Like, how do I be the best? Like, be a subject matter expert in something. Some guy's really passionate about fuel, and we see it. They're doing 8 miles a gallon plus in a flatbed application, could be pulling oversized, any of that. Or some people are passionate about their tires, and they pay attention to all of that, and they know their tire pressures, and they do very well. Or some people are very passionate about any trailer they get, they leave it in a better condition than they found. So they're tidying up little things, pulling all the nails out of a deck, organizing the dunnage, making sure the winches are slid together and bungeed. Those are all the little things that make a company stronger, and they help you have other things to focus on other than just the road, because sometimes that wears you out. Mm-hmm. So find yourself a little habit within the job and capitalize on it. But yeah, excited for this summer. And we're just creeping into spring. And I think the freight levels for us, I can't speak for every company, but we've done a lot of work to position ourselves with the right people at the right time and put in all the legwork. So we're hoping that just comes to fruition and everybody benefits, because that's our ultimate goal.
Yeah. And one last thing for the regional guys that run around here, do yourself a favor and try kicking that air conditioning on and see if it's blowing, because the day you need it, when it's 85 degrees out and you go to use it and it doesn't work because it needs to be recharged because you've been in winter climate all winter, It's not fun. So do it when you can. Try to do it when you're on terminal, whatever, but start testing them, because trust me, it happens a lot with trucks, especially the ones that have been running up north all winter long.
Yeah, it hasn't been touched.
And you get down when it's hot, and usually it's way hotter than you want it to be, and now you got no air conditioning. So do yourself a favor and try testing it out and see if it's working. If it's not, reach out to Fleet, let them know. They can get you on the list. Might not be that you need it right then and you can get it done when you get back to the terminal, but definitely test it out before it's absolutely needed.
That's good stuff. Reminded me of talking about our pods and the concept. So the pods is still a new endeavor for us from the beginning of the year, right? So we're only a few months in, but what our focus was turnover, and turnover is a byproduct of a driver unhappy, right? Like, how do we take care of this driver? And that was the full concept, right? Let's put 4 people paying attention to these drivers. You call in during lunch, you call in during somebody has a sick day, you call in whenever, and we're here to take care of you. And we are seeing that prove itself out, where turnover is better in our pod structure. And so as a driver, I think this industry, there's no hiding it. Turnover is this, people change jobs because they have, a new baby on the way. They have illness in the family. It could be a multitude of reasons, but when we're able to provide a better paycheck and we're more focused on the driver, and we can also understand what that driver's needs are, and we're able to dial in because those same people are working. It's like a football team. When you're with your same coaches every day, you begin to know each other, and without even without even them asking or you asking, I know what he's going to like. I know what he prefers. I know what she likes. I know what she likes to do. She wants me to do the best thing and make money for them. So we're seeing that come to fruition. And that, for me, it was a tough change, because change is always challenging. But when we went through it quick, and we're still learning. There's a lot of things to learn. Communication's our number one focus, and trying to do that better over and over, because there is always room to grow on communication. But it's fun. And if, I'd be curious if anybody had any feedback on our pods, good or bad, or even just, hey, if you tweak this a little bit, it would help us drivers. I'd be open to hearing that. So reach out to me. Very easy to get a hold of. You can email me. You can message me on Motive if you're a driver here. You can email me. Super easy. But I just want to say thank you. And until next week, stay safe.
Same here. Thank you. And thanks for everything that everybody does out there. And again, stay safe. Be safe.
Join us on this episode of Keep Trucking Personal. We appreciate you taking the time to explore the heart and soul of Kivi Brothers Trucking with us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Tune in next time as we continue our journey together, diving deeper into what makes us a community, a catalyst for positive change, and a home for those who aspire to be part of something truly extraordinary. Until then, keep trucking. And we'll catch you on the next episode.